The MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Game Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win 100x your entry with the Underdog Fantasy Pick'em. Use the promo code MLB SGPN to claim your special pick and a first-time deposit offer of $250 in bonus cash. Underdog Fantasy promo code MLB SGPN. We're also brought to you by the Mega Memorial Day merch sale. 15% off everything in the SGPN merch store with the promo code SGPN May. And welcome, everybody, to the MLB Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Game Podcast Network. It is currently Sunday afternoon, roughly 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time on May 26th. I'm your host for the episode, Scott Reichel, once again joined by Lonte Smith, and together we're going to cover the Monday games for the baseball card. I believe there's 11 games on the cards. We're going to cover all 11. I saw lines on all of them, I think, except for one. So just keep that in mind. Either way, though, Lonte, how's it going with you?
Not bad, man. Good to be here. Decent weekend, ready to get into some new series, and hopefully we can, have a better week. It was a decent week, but always can be better.
Yeah, see a couple of very competitive games are still going on right now. Cleveland's tied 2-2 with the Angels. Marlins are tied with Arizona 0-0 in the sixth. And so are the Yankees. The Yankees are tied with San Diego 0-0 in the sixth. Crazy game earlier between the Tigers and the Blue Jays. 25 runs in Detroit. Not something you see that often, but the Tigers got the job done. You saw Tampa avoid the sweep, beating Kansas City. Mets actually won a game in thrilling fashion. It's never easy for the Mets. You can kind of take a nap for 7 innings, and then the game actually starts, because every game for the Mets comes down to the wire, and they were actually on the right side of one. Besides that, the Braves won. Dodgers were awful this weekend. They got swept, right?
Yep, they did. Yep.
So bad showing for them. Colorado beat Philly. Interesting, I'd say surprising results so far on Sunday. Lonte, anything you want to add, or should we move on into the actual card?
No, we can move on because pretty much can hit on a lot that happened with a couple of these teams this weekend inside the handicap. So yeah, we can move on.
Yep, sounds good. I'm trying to remember how I did on the last show I was on. I know I ended up sweeping, but I don't remember if that was the last episode I was on. It's also a couple days ago, so I can't really recap
everything's
like
running together. Yeah.
Kinda. I mean, I haven't done a show in a couple days, so I've kind of forgot. But either way, before we get into any of the actual games for Monday, do want to remind you once again that we have a bunch of important races going on this weekend. You have the Indy 500, the Monaco Grand Prix, and the Coke 600. I believe the Monaco Grand Prix happened already. Indy 500, I think, started a little while ago with a weather delay. And I think the Coke 600's tomorrow. Either way, the point is, Rod and Cody from the NASCAR Gambling Podcast and the F1 Gambling Podcast have you covered. Make sure to join their Kyle Larson diecast card giveaway. That's free to enter. Just go to sportsgamepodcast.com/race to register and to make sure you subscribe to the NASCAR Gambling Podcast and the F1 Gambling Podcast. We also have a great merch store deal, as we have 15% of everything for the Mega Memorial Day merch sale. 15% of everything in the merch store. So if you want to get that, use promo code SGPN May. We have MLB Gambling Podcast merch. We have NBA Gambling Podcast merch. Pretty much any show with the network, we have merch. So if you want to end up getting a discount, you know what code to use. Use SGPN May as your promo code. Anyway, time to get into the actual slate, starting off with an AL East matchup between the Red Sox and the Orioles. For this one, you have a pretty interesting pitching matchup, as you have, first of all, we know Baltimore is the better team on paper. Over the weekend, they were fine, but if you wanted to look at the actual matchup you actually see they're up 2-0 right now against the White Sox. We'll see if they can close the deal. As for this game, it's going to be a 1 o'clock game. Should mention that. So we do have some baseball for Monday. And for this one, you are looking at the Orioles, who will be throwing out, just pulling it up really quickly. They have Irvin on the mound at home, as the Red Sox are going to be using Criswell. You're looking at the Orioles at -155. The Red Sox are +135. Over-under is set at 8.5. There is some juice on the over. I actually do see a 9 at DraftKings. A long time I'm going to ask you, we know the Red Sox are not exactly a great team, but they're above 500. They've been okay recently. As for Baltimore, we know that they're one of the better teams in the American League. Irvin's been good, though.
Yep,
after
really
being
good.
kind of a mess for the last few years, and Criswell's been kind of a nice surprise for Boston. Where do you want to go with this one? Do you want to lay the 155, or do you want to take the plus money?
Yeah, I'm leaning to Baltimore. Although, like you mentioned, Boston has been playing well as of late, but they're actually better on the road, 16-11 on the road, so they're in a good spot. Both teams are hitting the ball pretty good. I think around 240 in their last 10. Baltimore did sweep them in a series last month. Two of those 3 games did go over. Each win was by like 2+ runs, so Baltimore pretty much killed them. Baltimore also had 7 or more runs in all 3 of those games, so their offense is pretty clicking in that series. But they haven't been clicking in the past few days or past few series. But I think Irvin, to get him early, he's been really good, man. 5 earned runs allowed in the 6 starts, 4 shutouts in that span. So he's like really dealing. He only pitched 5 1/3 in his last 2 outings combined. I'm not sure. Did you see anything? Like, did he get injured or?
I don't remember him getting
something?
injured. I mean, it's the same with Criswell. Criswell usually goes around 5, so they really don't go much length either.
Yeah, no, but this is he went 5 1/3 like in the last 2 combined like start. So I don't know.
Oh, sorry. Let me check that.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure that he's not like injured or anything. But even if he is, I'm gonna go to the first 5. I like Baltimore in the first 5 versus just laying the full game in 155. But I do think Irvin will be fine against him. And if you think that Irvin is gonna go a little bit of distance, I think I would just pretty much go on the run line and save yourself some juice from Baltimore. But I do like Baltimore in the first 5 early and often with Irvin on the mound.
Yeah, so from what I can tell, he had about 9 days off or 8 days off in between starts, so maybe they just decided not to let him go the whole length. Okay, and then the 3 1/3 he got shelled. So I think that might have just been an actual pulling. Okay. But either way, point is that Irvin, I think, is fine. He hasn't been great recently, but I think health-wise, he's actually okay.
Okay, cool.
So
yeah, I'm cool with the first 5.
Criswell doesn't go much length either, so you might get a bullpen battle in this matchup. I think I am going to go with Boston first 5 because of what you just talked about with Irvin. The last couple outings, it's been a bit weird with the length. He hasn't been great recently. Criswell's been great on the road. So far this season, 1.84 ERA, only made 3 road starts and not much length. That's fine with me, though. I'll go with the Red Sox first 5. I do think that Criswell can perform pretty well, and I do think that you might see Irvin struggle once again. So give me the Red Sox first 5 with an optional Devers home run in there, but it's definitely encouraged. Moving on to the next game, you have an AL Central matchup between the Royals and the Twins. Unfortunately, the Royals' winning streak came to an end as they ended up losing on Sunday to Tampa. But you're looking at the pitching matchup here, and you're looking at the Twins being about minus 165. You have Kansas City at plus 140. You have Ryan on the mound against Marsh. Ryan, 3.15 ERA, Marsh, 2.72 ERA. And for the over-under, you can find 8.5 or 8. Lonte, I'm sure we're on the same page here, but why is Kansas City getting plus 140?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Love Kansas City in the spot. I love them even more now that they came off that loss. I mean, they've been literally just hitting the cover off the ball. That's one of the teams that I've got right this weekend. 7+ runs in 5 of the last 6. I think they failed to score 5 today. Was that score like 4-1 or something like that with Tampa?
Oh, they lost 4-1. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that
they
streak
scored
came
1.
To
so yeah,
that streak came to an end. But they still, I mean, just probably an off day. I mean, you can't expect them to keep that up for.
You're going for a sweep. You tend to see the team that loses the first 2 a little more effort in.
Yeah, but in those 5 straight that they scored 7, they won each game by 3+ runs. They're hitting nearly 300 in the last 10. Minnesota bats really, I mean, they're not known for their bats anyway, but they're hitting under 210. And I like Marsh. I mean, he was like limited opponents to 1 earned run or less in 5 of his 8 starts. So he's in good form. Ryan's actually been better on the road than he has at home. He had 5 earned runs total on the road, 17 at home. So that's something that you want to look at. I think Kansas City, wrong team favorite here, man. Give me Kansas City first 5 in full game.
Yeah, I think 140 is nuts. Even if you think Minnesota should be favored, they've been good recently too. I'm not going to dismiss them. But I do think Kansas City should be at least like plus 110, give or take, maybe close to a pick'em. But yeah, 140 is nuts. For value alone, I got to go there. The over-under is tricky at 8 or 8.5 because Kansas City's been kind of just destroying the cover off the ball. While Minnesota, we know offensively has been okay recently. They strike out a lot though. They don't really do a lot with runners in scoring position. They're kind of a home run or broke team most of the time. I think Kirilov actually had a big home run today to kind of help them out. But the point is, I just don't think – oh, sorry, that was yesterday. I mean, point is, I do think you're looking at a spot where the total might be a little bit high. I'll link to the under at 8.5. I'll back Marsh, but I think that this line for the money line is way off. I'll go with Kansas City. Moving on to the next game, you have another baseball game. You have the Blue Jays taking on the White Sox. The game's taking place at around 2 p.m. Eastern Time. You have Bassett against Undecided. You're looking at the Blue Jays being around minus 195. You have the White Sox being around plus 165. Not really sure how we have a money line and a total when we don't know who's pitching for the White Sox. I see Nastrini potentially might be getting the start for the White Sox. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not, so I'm at least going to mention
I saw Crochet earlier.
Crochet, I think it says undecided, so I'm guessing somebody got scratched or something. But
yeah, it might be.
Either way, though,
it might be who you're talking about for Crochet, because when
Crochet,
I first
by the way, there's no chance Crochet would be plus 165, so clearly something happened there.
Yeah.
Apparently it might be Nastrini. We'll see. You're looking at the over/under at 8.5. Bassett this season has been no bueno. He's 4-6 with a 4.39 ERA. However, if you go through the actual last couple of outings, he's been fine. He's allowed less than 4 earned in 4 straight, allowed less than 3 earned in 2 of his last 3. Did just face off against the White Sox actually at home on the 22nd. 7 innings and no runs. So maybe he'll pitch well again. We saw Toronto burn basically the entire damn bullpen in the game on Sunday, and they still lost 14-11. I'm going prop here. Give me Bassett outs. They're going to need him to eat up a bunch of innings. So I like Bassett to pitch well here. Give me Bassett outs.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I'm probably gonna be on the White Sox in some capacity. I can't trust Toronto. And you mentioned it. That was
price. I can't.
Yeah, and that's basically my whole thing. Maybe you want to take them, in the after the first 5, just in case Bassett is dealing. I do agree with that, but they're gonna get to the bullpen later, so maybe you get a little bit of value in game with the White Sox. But I think I'll be on the White Sox in some capacity. I mean, I just can't trust Toronto at this price. I do like the Bassett props though. I'll be on him. I'm probably going to lean to the under as well. I mean, Toronto's struggling to score outside of today. I mean, they scored 2 runs or less in 4 of the last 6. They're under in 6 of their last 11. So they haven't been really scoring the ball. I mean, they haven't really been scoring as of late. They had that breakout today, but I'm not really trusting their offense. And I know it's the White Sox, but they've been competitive as of late. So I'm gonna probably lean to the White Sox. I don't think the pitcher matters to me. I'm more so looking to fade Toronto at this price.
Yeah. Moving on though into the next game, you have the Cubs taking on the Brewers. For this one, you have an interesting pitching matchup. You have Steele going up against Gasser. Gasser as a rookie has been very good. 2-0, 2.65 ERA. Steele has been a disaster. 0-2 with a 5.68 ERA. And you're looking at the overall money line. Brewers are minus 115. Cubs are minus 105. Cubs really did not have a good week. Let's put it that way. The Braves went in there, took care of business. Then the Cubs ended up facing off against the Cardinals. They actually play on Sunday Night Baseball. Did lose the first game of that series. There was one that was postponed. They'll make it up later. But the Cubs have lost 3 straight. So based on current form, I think I got to go with the Brewers. I know Steele is a friend of the podcast, but I got to at least mention based on the prices, he has not been very good this year. And I do think that the Brewers are the better team right now, especially at home. I'll lean to Milwaukee.
Yeah, I'll stay away from the side, but I'll tend to lean with you. Yeah, Cubs
it's
are
also a Sunday night game. Like there's travel late night. It's not a great spot for them.
Yeah. The thing is, they did have some success against Milwaukee earlier this month. Outscored them 12-8 in a 2-1 series win, but that was in Wrigley. So maybe the familiarity kind of will get there, but still, man, hasn't been good. 5+ earned runs allowed in each of his last 3 starts. Having trouble keeping the ball in the park. 6 home runs allowed in that span. And that's like he was pitching well. I mean, he had 1 combined in the 2 previous starts. So I don't know. Maybe he's having a little command issues, but that's not the team you want to go against having those issues, because Milwaukee's been really good on offense lately. 6+ runs in 3 of their last 4, hitting nearly 251 in their last 10. I like Gasser. He has allowed a little bit more contact in his last 2 starts, and he was roughed up by Miami, 10 hits and 4 runs. But I do think at home he'll be better. I expect both of these offenses to have some success. So I'm going with the over on the 8, but I lean to the side of Milwaukee at home as well.
Yeah, I don't mind the over either. I do want to briefly just dig a bit deeper into the actual scheduling spot. It's actually insane. The Cubs are playing the night game tonight, and they play at 4 o'clock tomorrow while traveling to Milwaukee.
Wow.
What a horrible scheduling spot. I mean, usually if you're playing the night game, you just end up getting a night game the day after. But playing an afternoon game after getting the Sunday night game is insane. It's a horrible scheduling spot for Chicago. Yeah, I'll go with Milwaukee in that one. But I want to at least mention that it is an afternoon game. Before we get into the rest of the actual games for the Monday slate, do want to remind you once again that we are brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. The NBA playoffs are here, and our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy, wants to make it a lot more interesting. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Playing their pick'em game is simple, selecting higher or lower in player stats like points, rebounds, and assists, and so much more. Make entries of all basketball or mix and match across your favorite sports, including you can, for example, do baseball. A lot of options for baseball. They have, for example, fantasy score, walks, hits, anything you could think of. They really have an underdog. But you can win up to 100x your money, and it's a ton of fun. It's also available in a lot of places, including 30 states, California, Texas, and even Canada. They also have a lot of great specials going on for the NBA playoffs. They have promos, they have bonus cash airdrops, specials, giveaways, and more throughout the NBA playoffs. So make sure to follow I Don't Know Picks on Twitter. Keep an eye out. It's available in 30 plus states, including California, Texas, and Canada. They also just launched Champions, their player versus player format in Florida. Sign up with the promo code MLB SGPN to claim your special pick and a first-time deposit offer of $250 in bonus cash. Automatic Fantasy, promo code MLB SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast. Just finished previewing a couple of the games on the Monday card. Now it is time for the actual continuation of these games. Just finished covering the matchup between the Cubs and the Brewers. Moving on to another 4 o'clock game, you have the Guardians against the Rockies. You have minus 135 for the Guardians, plus 115 for Colorado. You have Curry pitching against Gamble. The over-under in this game is set at 10.5 or 10, depending on where you shop. Curry, I believe, has not pitched many innings this season, but going through his numbers, he's been good. 1.93 ERA, a total of 9.1 innings. So very, very small sample. Going to at least throw that out there. Point is, though, Lonte, we saw the Rockies win the finale in the series against the Phillies. We know the Guardians are up 5-2 right now. Guardians are obviously the better team on paper and just record-wise. But it is in Coors, and weird things do happen in Coors. What do you think happens in this game?
Yeah, I think we see a low-scoring game. I like the dog here. Cleveland has been one of the better teams as far as covering the run line. They covered 7 of the last 10 run lines, 16 and 11 on the road. But I think Colorado's playing a lot better. I think we both were on them a few weeks back when they were on that little 7-game winning streak. But I like Colorado a lot, man. They've been hitting the ball really well. Good series win versus one of the hotter teams in baseball in Philadelphia. Pretty much shut them down offensively all game. I mean, we're all series. None of these last 10 meetings between the two have went under. Cleveland's under in 6 of their last 10. Colorado's under at home, which you're like not notoriously known for. I mean, they're under in 13 of 22 home games. So that's kind of unheard of and let you know that the offense isn't there. I like Gamble, man. Gamble, two combined allowed in his last 3, 1 or less in 5 of his last 6. Pitched against solid offenses as well, San Diego, Philadelphia, Texas. So I like Gamble here, man. I'm going to go a full unit on the first 5, and I'll go half unit on the full game. I just don't trust the Colorado bullpen to kind of close it out. But I think Gamble gets it done early on. So give me first five under, and I lean to a full game for Colorado.
Yeah, I'll just go Gamble first 5. I don't want anything to do with the Rockies bullpen. Cleveland's bullpen's good every year. But I do think that Colorado is getting a decent number here. Gamble, you said, has been very good. Curry has been fine, but not much of a sample size, and it's in Coors. So I think Gamble should be more comfortable in this environment. So I am going to go with the Rockies in this one in the first 5. Moving on to the next game, you have the Dodgers taking on the Mets. We saw both teams look pretty underwhelming over the weekend, but the Mets did salvage the finale with a comeback in the 9th inning. You have Stone pitching against McGill. Dodgers are minus 145. Mets are plus 125. McGill's 4-2, 3.6 ERA. McGill 0-2 with a 3 ERA. The over-under in this game is set at around 8.5. Lonte, we know the Dodgers are the better team, but both teams have not played well recently. So do you want to blindly take the dog, or do you want to just take the Dodgers because the line's too cheap?
Well, I'll just go with the over because I'm not trusting either team right now as far as to lay that with the Dodgers. Notoriously, the Dodgers have owned them, and then recently I think the Mets have kind of turned the tide. They've won 6 of the last 10 meetings, but the Dodgers been 5 in a row. Offense has been brutal in that span. 3 runs or less in 4 of their last 6. They're hitting under 215 in their last 10. 3 runs per 9 in that span as well. The Mets actually dominated them in April series. They won 2 out of 3. All 3 of those games did go over. Average runs per game were around 11. So I think both offenses, the familiarities there with playing each other. The Mets they had a chance to sweep that series. I mean, they blew back-to-back games before winning the one today. So I don't look too much into that, but I just don't trust them to beat a Dodgers team who we know is going to get back on track. It's just a matter of when, and I don't want to be in front of that train when it happens. So I'll just go with the over. The Mets are actually over in 9 of their last 10. So I think at home you can see the Mets might maybe first 5 for the Mets. I do think Stone is under. I'm interested to hear your take on Stone. I think he's one of the underrated pitchers in that rotation. He's been really good. McGill making his third start. He was solid in his first 2, but I just don't want him to have to go against his offense or trust him to go against his offense and keep that up. So I'll lean to the Mets. Don't really love it, but I do love the over though.
I think I'll lean Mets first 5 because they have been winning these games. They've just let the bullpen absolutely destroy everything for the last week and a half. They got to stop playing the trumpets because I don't think Mets fans want Edwin Diaz pitching at this point. They got to figure something out. Do you think AAA is going to have the trumpets being played? No, I'm just joking. But point is, I do think the Mets bullpen's a mess. I don't want to deal with them. Now, the Dodgers have not been good recently. Every good team has slumps. There's a lot of games. It's 162 games, but I think I would go with the Mets first 5. They've been able to get out to leads. I'm not going to even touch the bullpen. McGill gives me 5. I'm kind of happy with it, so I'll go with the Mets first 5 in this matchup. Moving on to the next game, you have the Cardinals taking on the Reds. See, this is kind of the same exact spot that the Cubs are in because they played the night game and then they play at 4 o'clock tomorrow with travel. So I don't understand the scheduling spot for the MLB, but whatever. Cardinals are plus 115. Reds are minus 135. You have Lynn taking on Lodolo. You have the over-under being set at around 9.5 or 9. So shop around. We've seen both teams look pretty good so far this weekend. The Cardinals will be going for the, I guess, technically 2-game sweep because 1 game got postponed, but they're going to be going for an undefeated weekend while the Reds were able to sweep the Dodgers. Lodolo, though, is a massive question mark because he ended up being underwhelming his last couple outings against the Orioles and the Giants. Then he went on the IL, and now he's coming back after dealing with a groin issue, so you're not sure how sharp he's going to look. Question is, though, with the Reds, based on the current form and with the bad scheduling spot for the Cardinals and with Lynn being a potential gas can every time he pitches, do you want the Reds or do you want the Cardinals?
Yeah, I want to probably lean to the Cardinals. I know it's a bad spot, but I also like the over as well. St. Louis, I mean, they've been playing extremely well. 8-2 last 10, 5+ runs in 6 of the last 7. Cincinnati had a good weekend, like you mentioned, versus the Dodgers. So, I mean, do they come down from that high? The offense looked good 2 out of 3 of those games. They had 4 runs in 2 of the 3. But the thing is, the thing is what's keeping me off it being a heavy play is St. Louis struggles against lefties. They're hitting 200 against lefties. But Cincinnati is struggling against righties, 210. But I do think St. Louis is streak right now. I think that number versus lefties is kind of what they have in their past, not what they've been doing recently. Recently, they've been hitting like 289 in the last 10. Cincinnati's under 200 even with those wins against the Dodgers. And Lynn is coming off 6 scoreless. He had given up 12 in the previous 3 prior to that. 8 of those were on the road. So, you kind of want to tread lightly here. But you mentioned it with Lodolo. That's the main reason why I'm leaning to St. Louis. He's had groin issues. I think you don't want to have groin issues and be a pitcher. He hasn't pitched in 2 weeks. He had given up 8 in his last 2 starts, and 5 in his previous 3. So he hasn't been good before he went on the IL. I do think his K prop will be kind of interesting. I mean, he had 6+ in 5 of his 6 starts. So maybe you want to look there if St. Louis is not hitting the ball. But I do lean to St. Louis, but I like the over as well.
Yeah, I think I agree with you about the over. As for the actual side, I think I am going to lean to the Reds just based on their offense. And yes, I know Lodolo's had groin issues, but I do think scheduling spots matter. If I'm going to fade the Cubs for the terrible scheduling spot by the MLB, then I kind of have to fade the Cardinals too because it just doesn't really make much sense. You're going to have a late game, then you're flying to Cincinnati or maybe driving, who knows. Point is, though, it kind of just sucks as an actual spot. So, yeah, I'll go with the Reds here. I think Lodolo is the better pitcher when healthy. Big question mark around when healthy. But I do think you're looking at, potentially the better pitcher and a team that's been at least solid over the weekend. So give me the Reds at a pretty decent price, in my opinion. Lynn was good once. I'll dare him to do it again. We'll see if he can pull that off. Moving on to the next game, you have the Nationals taking on the Braves. For this game, you have the Braves as obviously a big favorite because they're at home against the Nationals, minus 200. Nationals are plus 170. You have Morton taking on Parker. The over-under in this game is being set at around 8.5. After about a month and a half of poor offensive play, the Braves offense finally remembered how to hit. They've been good recently. I know Acuna did get injured, so I'll see what his story is. But Atlanta's finally hitting the baseball. It took a month and a half. What do you think is going to happen in this game? It's either Braves run line or Nationals. So what do you want to go with?
Yeah, I would think that offensive onslaught continues with the Braves. I mean, they've been winning with their defense pretty much, like you mentioned, over the past like month and change. So I think the offense kind of woke up, and I think they'll get it done here against Washington. I do like Parker though. I mean, Parker's been okay, but again, this is a different beast in a ballpark where Atlanta usually has some success. So it's Atlanta or nothing for me. Maybe a team total over for Atlanta, thinking that they kind of ride that momentum after the last game. So I do lean to Atlanta, but I'm more likely be on the team total to go over.
Yeah, I think even with Acuna being out, true that Acuna hasn't had a great year anyway. So I don't want to say that it doesn't matter, but I'm at least going to acknowledge that so far this year, Acuna's contribution's been more, I'd say, name-based, because in the field he hasn't been great, offensively he hasn't been great, and I feel like people keep waiting for him to wake up. Now, of course, you have to be afraid of him at all times, and you have to kind of he might set up other guys in the lineup because you have to constantly be afraid of him and his base running, etc. But Acuna being out for a little while might not be as big of a deal as people make it out to be. And Atlanta, once again, is starting to hit the baseball well. So the Nationals are a team that is a fun story because they were above 500 for about 2 days. They're not very good. And I think the Braves are going to come out and look pretty sharp. So I like the Braves run line in this game. I think they win this game by multiple runs, 5-2 type final.
What's the price on it, Scott? Did you say the price?
For the Braves run line, you can find the run line at around, just pulling it up, around plus 105.
Yeah, because earlier they had Corbin going, so I guess that's why it changed.
I think Corbin pitched today.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, cool.
So, moving on, though, to the next game, you have the Phillies taking on the Giants. The Phillies are minus 115. The Giants are minus 105, even though Snell is pitching, so I'm sure this is going to take a very short amount of time. Walker's 3-0 with a 5.06 ERA. You're looking at the over-under being set at 7.5 or 8. Minus 115 fading Snell. What is this, a dream come true? Yeah, sure, I'll take the Phillies.
Oh, man, I like the other side, man. I like the other side.
You're back in Blake Snell. Wow.
It's not a, but I'll like preface this. It's not a play on Snell. It's more so a play on the San Francisco offense. I mean, the offense has been really good.
I like the over, but
yeah, I love the over too. But I think San Francisco will do just enough to get there. Philadelphia dominated them last month, so they swept them 3-0, 29-11 score wise. And I mentioned, I think we both mentioned San Francisco got pretty lucky on 2 of those wins, but I mean they've won 9 of their last 11. Philadelphia struggled in Coors, so I'm hoping that kind of carries over here. Although I don't like, Snell being here, but he is coming off paternity leave, new baby syndrome. He might come out and pitch well. Walker, but I think we both agree Walker is the weakest link in the rotation for Philadelphia.
Yeah, he has a good record because he just gets a bunch of run support, but his ERA is north of 5.
Right, and he went 6 in the third, only giving up 3 runs in the start versus San Francisco, but he did allow a lot of contact. Has not got out of the 4th inning in his last 2 starts, so we'll be interested to see if San Francisco's offense can kind of get to him early. He has allowed 6 home runs in 5 starts, at least 1 in every game, and he has had some command issues. So I'm hoping we blend all that together, man, and we get a San Francisco, 6-5 type of win, 7-6, anything of that nature. So yeah, I'm going with San Francisco. I love the over as well, though. So we'll go head to head here.
Yeah, I like the over. Agree with you there. I got to keep fading Snell. He's been that.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
His whip is north of 2. Like I can't just back him. The price is off. Even if you like San Francisco, minus 115 for the Phillies makes absolutely no sense. That should be at least, in my opinion, minus 130 because of how bad Snell's been. It's actually funny when you look at Snell's career numbers, by the way. Is Snell the worst 2-time Cy Young winner of all time?
Probably. He
might be. He really might be. If you look at his numbers, like he's been really average or below average in every year besides 2, and he has 2 Cy Youngs. It's actually kind of bizarre if you look at his overall year-by-year stats. But point is, Snell's been a disaster ever since he signed with the Giants at the last minute. So I'll keep fading him. Give me the Phillies to get the job done in this one. Moving on to the next game, you have the Marlins taking on the Padres. I saw the Padres did take a lead against the Yankees in, I think, the 6th inning. Might be the 7th. But you're looking at the Padres at minus 175 at home. Marlins are plus 150. You have Rogers on the mound against King, and the over-under is set for this one at around 7.5. Lonte, King's actually been pretty good as a former Yankee, 4-4 4.28 ERA. So not amazing, but he's been fine. Rogers, though, we know has been a mess so far this year, 1-6 with an ERA north of 6. Question for you, though, is how do you want to bet this? Because I definitely know you don't want to take the Padres at -175, but the Marlins
Absolutely
stink,
not.
especially when Rogers pitches. So how do you want to go about this one?
Yeah, so I'm gonna do pretty much the same thing that I did with the last game. It's gonna be a play on Miami. I mean, Miami's been really good lately, man. 7-3 in their last 10. Pitching's been solid. 3 runs or less allowed in 4 of their last 5. Opponents hitting right at 210 in their last 10 versus them. Bullpen has been solid. I don't want to lay this number with San Diego, and they're going to be coming off. I'm hoping that they win here, and they're coming off, an emotional win after getting annihilated in the first 2 games. San Diego's bullpen has been good as well. The starters just haven't performed at all, so I'm hoping that we get a repeat of that in this game. I'm going to go with Miami, man. San Diego's offense continue to struggle. 1 earned run or fewer in 3 of the last 5. At least they'll get away from that here. But Rogers, man, is the only issue. I wish it was anybody else but Rogers. I mean, he just hasn't been good.
And they've gotten killed in basically every start that he's made. So
yeah, they have, and he's had control issues. But King's been good. He does pitch to contact, though. I think we both saw that whenever he was in the Yankee uniform. So I'm hoping Miami's offense can kind of get it together for a few. I might even look at Miami first 5. And split a unit first 5 in full game. But I like Miami here, man. I think Miami will continue to play well and get the job done. I don't trust San Diego at all.
Yeah, I agree. I'll take Miami in this game. I think Rogers stinks, but I think the Padres aren't very good. I was just watching him over the weekend against the Yankees. They might win the series finale, but in reality, they did nothing offensively for the first 2 games. Then they scored 1 run in the first 2 and a half games combined in this series. I know the Yankees pitching has been very good this year. Point is, though, this team just can't hit. I think you're looking at the Marlins being in good form. The price is off. I get that King's better than Rogers, but 175 for a team that's about to be, assuming they win tonight or today, they're 10-18 at home. If they win today, they're 11-18 at home. I can't lay 175 with that. That's crazy. I got to go with Miami in this one. I'm not sure how they're going to find a way to do it with Rogers in the mound, but maybe you see them hang in there and then the bullpen implodes for San Diego. But I am going to go with the Marlins with you in that one. I'll lean to the over or the under.
I would lean under
7.5. I got no idea, to be honest.
Yeah, I would lean under. I mean, maybe Rogers can be good enough until they get to the bullpen. The bullpen's been good for Miami. I know last.
Yeah, I'll lean under,
streak,
I guess. I think King's fine. I don't have any issues with King. So I'll lean under, but it's mostly going to be Miami at a pretty good plus money price. Last game, though, we have the Astros taking on the Mariners. You have Valdez taking on Miller. For this one, I have no lines. Valdez, we saw get injured, and now he's finally coming back, so we'll see how he ends up looking. I'm trying to remember the last time he pitched. Pitched on the 20th. So he ended up not really missing a turn, but he ended up having like an extra day or 2 off just to help him reset. Did he get shelled the last time out, though, as he faced off against the Angels, and he ended up giving up 8 runs, 10 hits. Angels, though, randomly very good against lefties, so maybe that was just a bad start. But the Astros have played better recently. Facing Oakland helps because Oakland's fallen apart again. Seattle's fine. They're probably the least impressive division leader in the entire league as they're 2 games over. But I am going to ask you for this game, I don't have lines. So do you want Houston on the road or do you want Seattle?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's tough for me. I would like to see a line to see where it goes, but
I think we're assuming Houston slight favorites on the road, like maybe -115, -120, maybe.
Yeah, I'll probably, if it's anything under 125, I'll probably be on Houston. I mean, I don't trust.
Do you agree
Seattle,
with that guess though? With Valdez?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, with Valdez, probably, like around 110, 115, somewhere around there. But as always, I mean, it's the same song with Seattle. I mean, it's their offense. Their pitching is excellent, but their offense just can't get it done. 1 run or fewer in 3 of the last 4 games. They're hitting under 212 in their last 10. And you mentioned that Houston's been really good offensively as of late. They do hit the ball really well on the road. They hit 250 on the road, so maybe that travels. I know they're beating up on the A's right now. And Miller's been struggling as of late. It's still Miller going, right?
I see Miller.
Yeah. So he's allowed 9 in his last 2 starts. 6 home runs allowed in his last 4. He did give up 2 home runs and 4 runs total to Houston. So the familiarity is going to be there. I'm probably going to be on the Houston side. If I get anything under 125, 130, I'll be on Houston.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page there. That's going to wrap it up, though, for all the games for Sunday. Before we get into the actual lock and dog picks, though, for Monday, I do want to remind you once again that we are brought to you by Rhythm. Because if you're trying to bet on NBA player props, maybe you want to bet on the Celtics game 4, there might not be a game 5. So you might want to maximize your chances. But point is, if you are trying to bet on NBA player props, you should download Rhythm because Rhythm gives you a menu of the best player props for every single NBA playoff game. Make it easy to go through and to find the best props to put your money on in seconds. Rhythm's predictions are backed by over 3 years of data and a team of data scientists and quants that focus on fine-tuning the algorithm to give you the best chance at winning. Rhythm does pair their predictions with player prop graphs to help you feel even more confident about the picks, whether that involves DFS or your actual bets. From superstars to bench players, Rhythm has the best player prop lines, all backed by AI data, without you needing to endlessly scroll a sportsbook. Rhythm also allows you to create your own custom NBA models so you can get AI-backed money line spread and total plays for every single NBA playoff game. Start a free 7-day trial and start winning your NBA player props with Rhythm, available wherever you do get your apps. Welcome back, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast. Just finished previewing every game for the Monday MLB slate. Now it's time for the lock and dog picks. Lonte, I'm going to let you go first. What is your lock and dog for the show?
Yeah, man. So we're gonna put my money where our mouth is with San Francisco. I've been betting on San Francisco for the past month. They've been really good to me.
You're probably the first person on the show to take Snell as a lock this
yeah,
season, by the way.
Yeah, man. So I'm gonna bet on him coming back from paternity leave, having a kid, the new kid syndrome. It's a complete bet on the San Francisco offense and really not on him. I'll preface the pick with that. I do think Walker is the weakest link in this rotation. And they've seen him. The offense has seen him once already, so I think San Francisco will be able to get it done. All I need is Snell to be average. I know that's asking a lot, but I just need him to be average and let San Francisco's offense do their thing. So I do like San Francisco as my lock. I'm just gonna pray. I'm gonna pray that Snell is in a better place after having his child. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl, but for the dog, I'm gonna go with something that we both like. Man, I like Kansas City plus 140. I don't even think we need to get too deep into it. I just think that price is insane. The way they've been playing, even with the loss today, don't put that much against them. I mean, they've still been really good. Offense has been really good. Marsh is really good. I would prefer Marsh over Ryan. Ryan actually pitches better on the road than he does at home. So simple as that. I like better pitcher, better team, plus money. What's not to like about that?
Yeah, so for my lock on the show, I have to figure out what exactly I want to go with. I think I'm going to go with Milwaukee to get the job done at around minus 115, give or take. I just think at the end of the day, it's a bad spot for Chicago. Playing the night game in St. Louis, then they are traveling to Milwaukee the next day while playing an afternoon game. The schedule is atrocious. I don't know why Major League Baseball did that to the Cubs and to the Cardinals. Point is, though, I do think that Gasser's been solid. Steele's been a mess so far this season. So you can argue based on current form that the Brewers actually have the better pitcher. And you are looking at a bad scheduling spot for the Cubs. I'll fade Chicago. Give me minus 115 on Milwaukee as my lock. For my dog, I'm going to agree with you. Give me the Royals at around plus 140. Just shopping around to see if I can find a better line. I found 145 on DraftKings. So give me the 145. Marsh and Ryan have pretty solid numbers in general, but Marsh has been good at home and road. Ryan's been terrible at home. Ryan actually has an ERA north of 5 at home. So most of his good starts have been in opposing ballparks, and at home he's kind of gotten shelled recently. Kansas City was, I think they were on an 8-game winning streak, or 7? What was it, 7?
I think it was 7.
8?
Yeah.
It was 7. They lost the game to Tampa, but the offense was rolling in most of those games. So I do like the overall form Kansas City's in, and I think plus 140 is an insane price, fading a pitcher with a 5+ ERA at home. So we are going to agree on the dog. Give me Kansas City. I do think at the end of the day, the line is off, so I'm going to take it. Lonte, though, that's going to do it for this episode. Anything else you want to add before we officially wrap up?
Nah, man. Hopefully everybody gets that. We get the winners out and off to a good start for the week. I'll be back tomorrow, me and Mal.
Yep. I'll be back at some point during the course of the week. If you need me, I'll be watching the overtime game between the Panthers and the Rangers. Until next time, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.